Have you ever looked at successful people and thought they were probably born different? Maybe smarter, luckier, or richer than everyone else. But the truth is, many great success stories begin in very ordinary ways. The story of Bill Gates is one of those stories. Before he became one of the most famous people in technology, he was simply a curious boy who loved asking questions. He wasn't born with special powers. He didn't grow up knowing he would change the world. What made him different was his habit of learning, his willingness to work hard, and his courage to follow an unusual path. Today, millions of people know his name because of computers and software. But behind that success is a much deeper story about curiosity, persistence, and believing in ideas before anyone else could see them. As you listen, try to notice not only the story itself, but also the simple English expressions and useful vocabulary along the way. Learning through stories can make English feel more natural and enjoyable. Bill Gates was born on October 28, 1955, in Seattle. His full name was William Henry Gates III, a name passed down through his family. He grew up in a caring home where education and discipline were important. His father was a respected lawyer who believed in hard work and responsibility. His mother was intelligent, social, and deeply involved in community activities. Together, they created an environment where learning was encouraged every day. Even as a young child, Bill showed unusual curiosity. He liked understanding how things worked. Sometimes he would spend a long time thinking quietly about a problem, while other children were busy playing. Books quickly became one of his favorite things in life. He read constantly. Science, history, mathematics, biographies, almost anything interested him. While many children struggled to finish homework, Bill often read far beyond what school required. But school itself was not always exciting for him. Many lessons felt too easy, and he became bored in class. Some teachers thought he was distracted or restless. He often questioned rules and preferred solving problems in his own way. One day, a teacher asked why he seemed uninterested during lessons. Bill calmly explained that he had already read most of the material ahead of time. His parents realized that he needed a more challenging environment, so they decided to send him to a private school called Lakeside School. That decision would completely change his future. At Lakeside, Bill discovered something that immediately captured his attention: computers. Today, computers are everywhere, but during the late 1960s, they were rare and extremely expensive. Most people had never even touched one. Large companies and universities usually owned them, and they filled entire rooms. When Bill first used a computer terminal at school, he became fascinated. Programming felt almost magical to him. He loved typing commands and watching the machine respond. The idea that humans could give instructions to a computer and make it perform tasks amazed him. Soon, he began spending countless hours in the computer room.
Sometimes he skipped other activities just to practice programming. At first, teachers worried he was becoming too obsessed, but they also noticed something important. He had exceptional talent. Unlike many students, Bill didn't just want to use computers, he wanted to understand them deeply. At only 13 years old, he created a simple computer game called Tic-Tac-Toe, where users could play against the computer itself. It may sound basic today, but at that time, it was an impressive achievement for a teenager. That small project gave him confidence. It showed him that computers could be used to build new experiences and solve real problems. Around this time, Bill met another student named Paul Allen. Paul was older, quieter, and thoughtful. Bill was energetic, competitive, and outspoken. Their personalities were different, but they connected immediately because they shared the same passion for technology. The two friends spent hours discussing computers and imagining the future. At a time when most people believed computers were only for large businesses, Bill and Paul imagined something completely different. They believed one day every home and every desk could have a personal computer. Back then, this sounded unrealistic. But sometimes the biggest ideas sound impossible at first. Bill and Paul didn't just dream, they experimented. As teenagers, they even started a small business together that analyzed traffic data for cities. The project earned them thousands of dollars, which was remarkable for boys their age. More importantly, the experience taught Bill a lesson he would never forget. Ideas become valuable only when you take action. He also developed another important trait during those years: competitiveness. Bill hated losing. Whether it was academics, games, or problem solving, he pushed himself intensely. Friends noticed that he constantly challenged people around him, not because he disliked them, but because he genuinely loved solving difficult problems. At home, however, his parents sometimes worried about how much time he spent around computers. One evening, his mother asked him if he thought computers would really matter that much in the future. Bill answered with complete confidence. He believed computers would eventually transform the world, and he wanted to be part of that transformation. As he grew older, his interest in technology became stronger and stronger. In 1973, Bill entered Harvard University, one of the most respected universities in the world. His parents felt proud and relieved. They imagined he would eventually become a lawyer like his father. But Bill's attention kept returning to computers.
While many students focused fully on their classes, Bill spent long nights in computer labs writing code and exploring software ideas. He still attended Harvard, but his mind was already moving towards something much bigger. Then, in 1974, an important moment arrived. A new machine called the Altair 8800 appeared on the market. It was one of the first personal computers available to ordinary people. When Bill and Paul heard about it, they became excited immediately. They believed this machine represented a new era. Personal computers were no longer just a dream. The future they had discussed for years was finally starting to appear. There was only one problem. They didn't yet have software ready for the computer. Still, instead of waiting, they acted quickly. They contacted the company behind the Altair and promised to create programming software for the machine. At that moment, they had not actually completed the program yet. It was a huge risk. But Bill believed that opportunities often belong to people who move first and figure things out later. For weeks, he and Paul worked intensely, writing code with almost no sleep. Eventually, they successfully created software for the Altair computer. That success changed everything. In 1975, at only 20 years old, Bill Gates made one of the biggest decisions of his life. He left Harvard to fully focus on building a software company with Paul Allen. His parents were worried. Leaving a world-famous university sounded dangerous and irresponsible. But Bill trusted his vision. He believed computers were about to become a major part of everyday life, and he didn't want to miss the opportunity. Together, Bill and Paul founded a company called Microsoft. In the beginning, life was not glamorous at all. They had limited money, long working hours, and enormous pressure. Bill worked obsessively, often staying awake late into the night reviewing code and improving products. He expected excellence from himself and from everyone around him. Slowly, Microsoft began gaining attention. Then came the breakthrough that changed the company forever. A major company called IBM needed an operating system for its personal computers. Bill saw the opportunity immediately. Even though Microsoft did not yet have the perfect operating system ready, Bill confidently accepted the challenge. He moved quickly, acquired existing software, improved it, and transformed it into MS-DOS, the operating system that would soon power IBM computers. That deal pushed Microsoft into the center of the technology industry. Suddenly, Bill Gates was no longer just a talented young programmer. He had become a business leader with a bold vision for the future. And this was only the beginning of a much larger story. As Microsoft continued to grow, Bill Gates became known for his intense work ethic. He expected people around him to think creatively, solve problems quickly, and constantly improve. Employees often said Bill remembered tiny details about projects and asked difficult questions during meetings. He pushed his team hard because he believed technology could change everyday life in ways most people still could not imagine. During the early 1980s, personal computers slowly became more common in homes and offices. But many computers were still difficult to use. Only people with technical knowledge felt comfortable operating them. Bill wanted to change that. In 1985, Microsoft introduced Windows, a system designed to make computers simpler and more user-friendly. Instead of typing complicated commands, people could click icons and move through programs more easily. For ordinary users, this was a major change. Windows helped millions of people feel comfortable using computers for work, communication, and learning. As more businesses and families bought computers, Microsoft grew into one of the most powerful technology companies in the world. At the same time, competition in the tech industry became stronger. One of Microsoft's biggest rivals was Steve Jobs and his company, Apple. Bill Gates and Steve Jobs had very different personalities. Steve focused heavily on design and simplicity. Bill focused on software, systems, and business strategy. Sometimes they disagreed strongly, but they also respected each other's abilities. Their competition pushed both companies to innovate faster. By 1987, Bill Gates had become the world's youngest self-made billionaire at the age of 31. For many people, reaching that level of wealth would have been enough, but Bill continued working with the same energy and focus. He often reminded people that success can be dangerous if it makes you too comfortable. In his view, learning should never stop, even after achieving great things.
Around this time, his personal life was also changing. Bill met Melinda French Gates, who worked at Microsoft. She was intelligent, thoughtful, and shared many of his values. Over time, they built a close relationship and eventually married in 1994. Together, they created a family and raised 3 children. Despite their enormous wealth, Bill and Melinda tried to teach their children the importance of discipline, humility, and responsibility. They believed that character mattered more than money. But even as Microsoft became more successful, life was not always easy. In the late 1990s, the company faced serious legal problems. The United States government accused Microsoft of unfair business practices and claimed the company had become too powerful. The situation created enormous pressure. For years, Bill dealt with investigations, criticism, and public debate. Some people admired him deeply, while others believed Microsoft controlled too much of the technology market. Still, Bill stayed focused. Instead of allowing challenges to destroy his motivation, he treated them as lessons. He believed setbacks were a normal part of growth and leadership. As the years passed, something inside him began to change. Although he still cared about technology, he started thinking more about global problems like disease, poverty, education, and access to healthcare. He realized that wealth could be used for something bigger than business success.
In 2000, Bill and Melinda created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The foundation focused on helping people around the world, especially in poorer communities where access to healthcare and education was limited. Their projects supported vaccine development, disease prevention, clean water systems, and schools for children who lacked opportunities. For Bill, this work became deeply meaningful. Once he explained that after reaching a certain level, money itself no longer mattered much to him. What mattered was using resources to improve lives and solve important problems. Over time, the foundation became one of the largest charitable organizations in history. Bill also began encouraging other wealthy people to donate more of their fortunes. In 2010, together with investor Warren Buffett, he launched the Giving Pledge. The idea was simple but powerful. Billionaires should promise to give away most of their wealth to help society. Many wealthy individuals joined the movement, inspired by the belief that success carries responsibility. Even after stepping away from daily work at Microsoft, Bill remained active and curious. He continued reading constantly. Books have always been one of his favorite ways to learn. He reads about science, health, economics, history, climate change, and global development. He believes reading helps people understand the world more clearly and make wiser decisions. Another topic that became especially important to him was climate change. Bill started investing in clean energy projects and supporting research into renewable technologies. He believed innovation could help humanity solve environmental problems, just as technology had transformed communication and business. Throughout his life, curiosity remained one of his strongest qualities. Even after becoming famous, he continued asking questions, studying new ideas, and learning from experts. That mindset helped him stay relevant in a rapidly changing world. Of course, not everyone agreed with him all the time. Some people criticized his decisions, questioned his influence, or doubted his projects. Public life often brings criticism, especially for highly successful people. But Bill learned not to become distracted by constant negativity. He believed that if you spend all your time reacting to criticism, you lose focus on meaningful work. One lesson that appears again and again in his life is the importance of taking action. There's a well-known story about a journalist who once asked Bill Gates the secret behind his success. According to the story, Bill offered the journalist a blank check and told him to write any amount he wanted. The journalist refused because he felt uncomfortable accepting money. Bill then explained that opportunities often disappear because people hesitate too long or become too afraid to act. Whether the story is fully true or partly symbolic, the lesson remains powerful. Successful people often move quickly when they recognize opportunity. Another important part of Bill Gates's journey is resilience. Life did not always go exactly as planned. In 2021, Bill and Melinda announced their divorce after many years of marriage. It was a difficult personal moment, and the news received worldwide attention. Yet both continued supporting the foundation's work and focused on the goals they still shared. This period reminded many people that even successful individuals experience painful and complicated moments in life. No amount of money removes human challenges completely. Still, Bill continued working toward long-term goals. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Gates Foundation helped support vaccine research and healthcare efforts around the world. Bill often spoke about the importance of science, preparation, and global cooperation during crises. Today, Bill Gates is remembered not only as the man who helped build modern personal computing, but also as someone who tried to use his success to create positive change. His journey offers several important lessons. First, curiosity matters.
A simple interest in learning can shape an entire future. Second, success usually begins with small steps. Bill started as a teenager experimenting with computers long before the world recognized his name. Third, failure and criticism are unavoidable. Every meaningful journey includes obstacles. And finally, true success is not only about personal achievement. It is also about contribution, using your abilities to improve life for others. The story of Bill Gates reminds us that greatness rarely appears suddenly. It grows slowly through learning, effort, discipline, and courage. He began as a curious boy reading books and exploring computers in a school lab. Over time, he became a person who influenced technology, business, education, and global health. No matter where you come from, there is something valuable to learn from his path. Stay curious. Keep learning. Take action when opportunities appear. And remember that even the biggest achievements often begin with one simple decision, the decision to try. Thank you for listening. I hope this story not only helped you practice English, but also gave you something meaningful to think about. Keep learning step by step. Stay patient with yourself and never stop growing. There is always something new waiting to be discovered.